Hello, I'm Brigantia Blackbird of the Blackbird Grimoire. Welcome to Wicca 303. Today's lesson, we are talking about the modern witch's role. And of course, in this context, a modern witch does not refer to an aesthetic or a particular philosophy of looking at the world. It's simply referring to practitioners who live in the modern age right now. So, unlike devotional paganism, of which there really aren't any specific duties, witchcraft, all traditions of it, is self evidently a job. When people become a witch or a wizard, they are taking on a job. And the only question is, what does our job consist of? The topic is further complicated by the reality that, specialities within the craft have always been part of the landscape. And of course, that provides further nuance about what constitutes your job. And we're dealing with two primary questions. What is the function of witchcraft within the larger pagan ecosystem, and what purpose does each specialization of the craft serve? And then there's the biggest question: where do you fit in with all of this? And might you even become a trailblazer in your own right, expanding the scope of the craft? There's a lot to take in, and don't worry, we are going to be breaking that down a bit. So, witchcraft within paganism, that's the first thing to tackle. It is tiresome, but sadly, there are some within our pagan family tree who do not take witchcraft or those who practice it any more seriously than a member of the Abrahamic religions would. And even more tedious is that some actually seek to divorce all witchcraft from paganism and just try to declare it and sideline it as New Age, ahistorical, silly. We do get that attitude, and it is every bit as provoking as you might imagine. If you haven't experienced it yet, you will at some point, and you'll see exactly what I mean. And these attitudes, they really betrayed ingratitude, in my opinion. Considering some of the earliest pagans who came out of the broom closet in the mid 20th century, they actually were indeed witches, specifically Wiccan witches, and to say, oh, you don't count, you're not one of us. I don't think so. Just that's not an attitude I am prepared to countenance. It was witches who faced the brunt of that first public backlash, and they did so bravely with honor. It was witches who persevered and made the case for the legitimacy of pagan belief. It was witches who first pursued legal recognition and protection, not just for witches, but for pagans of all sorts. So I think the words some of our brothers and sisters who downplay us should really be looking for involve thank you. Not necessarily to us, because those of us here didn't do that work, but those who came before us in the witchcraft tradition certainly did. And I think they are owed quite a thank you for all of their efforts and all of their sacrifices. Practitioners of the craft have no reason to duck their heads. We have no need to make apologies for our history or for the evolution of our beliefs and practices. Now, that being said, I don't think any of us should be holding our breath and waiting for our more stubborn pagan relatives to say thank you. It'd be nice if they did, but again, we've got to get on with our job. And part of that job is responding to the call of the gods. And it is not a coincidence that witches were the first to prominently emerge from the broom closet. I mean, just think of it this way: when gods choose to speak, who do they activate the listening ears of first in order to awaken the rest of the people? They call upon the priests. And while there are many pagan priests who are not witches, the unique capability of witches frequently puts them in the position to act in effect in a priestly role, even if that is not their primary work. Now, thankfully, not everyone has a sour attitude about the craft, and happily, they will consult practitioners for things like divination, healing, performing hand fastings, baby blessings, funerals, house blessings, cleansings, etc., etc. Spiritual counseling, providing charms and talismans. So clearly, when it comes to our brothers and sister pagans, the role of the witch and the wizard is one of service. We are providing them with our skill sets, our experience, and our magical capabilities for their benefit and the benefit of the community. We act as priests when called upon to do so. We are a support system for the broader community, even though our obligations and talents do set us apart as being a little bit different. So let's talk about avenues of practice and start narrowing our focus to the world of witchcraft. Specialities include astrology, divination. Okay, the video's back now. Some people do focus their healing efforts upon the chakras themselves. That is a very specific modality. Teaching, priestly duties, crafting made to order, research, writing, hearth, kitchen craft. And these avenues represent merely the most common specializations. It's not an exhaustive list. Probably, as a result of your own studies, you could probably add other things to this list yourself. It is also perfectly possible to become a generalist practitioner. And I would argue that we do desperately need generalists out there. But whatever a person ultimately pursues, that role will involve needing an in-depth knowledge of relevant subjects and time to practice their knowledge, which of course is going to have an impact upon their lifestyle. Regardless of specialities, every practitioner does need a solid foundation of the basics of the craft and to attain a basic level of competency. And then after that, the individuals will have a much better idea of what particular direction they want to go. And that direction ultimately shapes their role within the witchy ecosystem. Now, once you've decided or you have been called to a particular job, it is best to fully commit to it. And what that means in practice is that you set your priorities in accordance with your purpose. You're not going here, there, and everywhere. You're remembering what your job is and you are pursuing things accordingly. There's a world of information out there. You cannot consume all of it all at once, all of the time. Therefore, that which is most relevant to your specific past, that's what has to come first. It doesn't mean you have to exclude everything else. It's just about you take care of first things first. Everything else can be explored afterwards. But don't forget about what you individually are meant to be doing. Save your sanity. I implore you, save your sanity. If you try to do all of it all at once, you will go insane. And nobody wants that. Now, let's turn our attention to potential horizons. The witchcraft revival has been underway for less than a century. We haven't even begun to discover all of the magical knowledge, however fragmented, that has been left behind from previous eras, nor have we scratched the surface to understand what it's possible to achieve. And we have scarcely begun to understand the various natural laws that actually govern magic. So certainly we do not have exhaustive knowledge and experience about the relationship between even known natural laws, let alone how many ways they can be applied and to what degree by humans. So in the course of your practice, if you make a discovery or a pathway that could lead to a major discovery, pursue that. It was given to you for a reason. It will help us down the line. Don't worry about it. Just pursue it. Now, for your homework for August 16th through August 22nd. First and foremost, based upon your current state of knowledge and experience, do you have a sense of what your personal role as a witch is? It's totally okay if you don't. That's fine. Just ask yourself the question. That's the main thing. This is a check-in. Number two, what do you think you need to study and do next in order to pursue your destiny? Because again, we are winding down these classes and asking yourself what you should think, what you think you should do next. That's going to be a very important job to assume. And then three, what kind of practitioner do you want to become? Is that different or the same from what you feel called to? Now, that can reveal a very interesting conflict that you'll have to find some kind of resolution to somewhere down the road. But for now, just allow yourself to think about it. And that is what I have for you today. Comments, questions, concerns, complaints, leave them for me in the comments section below. I will check in on you as soon as I possibly can, and I will address whatever concerns you have to the best of my ability. Now, next week, we will be having the super short and sweet video regarding seasonal witch keeping. It'll be our last one of this series. And, if there is future seasonal witch keeping type of videos, it'll be done in a different context. So this is the very last one for Wicca 303, quite a milestone. And then the week after that, that is the conclusion of Wicca 303. And it have a little bit of a talk for you, a bit of congratulatory for all of your hard work, and hopefully I'll kind of pump you up so you're ready to take your next independent steps into the world of witchcraft. So it's all happening. It is happening fast. But that's what I have for you today, and hope to see you back here next week for seasonal witch keeping. And until next time, bye-bye.